Yeah, so good morning everyone and welcome back to the tribology class. So I hope you people have done your internals good. So half of the papers are evaluated and still much to be done. So once it is done, your marks will be posted back in the Google Classroom. So now coming back to our part of module 2. If you remember, we were dealing about the wear analysis and the mechanisms, how to prevent different type of wear which comes into picture while rolling, yeah, sliding the two mechanical components, whether it could be of same soft material, yeah, hard material, a combination of both. So once that is done, next in your syllabus, you have to focus about the debris analysis. So why debris analysis is needed? So for that, analysis with respect to the microstructure level is needed. So there is a particular protocol what we need to follow to how to do the wear analysis. Wear analysis in just in previous slides also have shown you the three main verticals in which the wear analysis could be done. So in that one is of our microstructural studies, right? So in the beginning, we dealt about the wear analysis. I remember there was one slide where yeah, wear analysis in which we categorize the problems in which it falls and we do the analysis accordingly. So here we are following now the second category where we do the analysis with respect to the microscopic level. So how to analyze and examine the worn area which come across when you're using the lubricant or not using the lubricant. So this is focused by our debris analysis, what we have to deal up. So now here you can see different type of microstructural behavior with respect to different type of wear which is coming across, right? So the first one refers to the rubbing wear. So when it is rubbed, yeah, slide against each other depending upon the hardness of the material, you can see some wear across the surface. So this is caused due to the rubbing wear. And some things, if a part of the material is been removed off due to some sudden indentation of some material into the hard surface, and then it results in the formation of the cutting wear. So the B diagram here represents the wear which is caused due to cutting. And the third one is the fatigue wear. So for continuous instant amount of high amount of load applied for a particular period of time, it may result in formation of fatigue wear. So this is how the microstructure looks like when you observe a fatigue wear. And due to the formation of some sculpts, right? So this is the surface, how it looks like. We have studied all the type of wear analysis, and when we go to do the analysis with respect to microscopic examination, this is how the surface looks like. And next, after scuffing, we have the corrosive type of wear. So this is a part where it has been corroded due to some external environmental effects. If the material what you have used is more corrosive in nature, then this results in the formation of corrosive wear. And lastly, this is caused due to the abrasive wear. So this is how you should be able to identify which are the type of wear which is coming into picture when you see an micrograph or when you observe. If you are interested in related to the materials and characterization, then even this is one of the part of it where a continuous tedious studies are going on in understanding the microscopic behavior of a particular material for which you are using for any specific applications. So these are the type of I'm sorry, where structures what you observe when you view through an microscope. So we will go related to the debris analysis in depth within few seconds. And some other, I have just taken an example for an bearing. Suppose the used bearing is been damaged. That could be due to various type of wear. The bearing can be damaged either due to fatigue, due to wear, corrosion, electrical erosion, plastic deformation, or any type of structure, right? So then you should be able to evaluate how the subsurface of the material looks like when it is under fatigue, or how the surface is initiated when the fatigue comes into picture. And again, if the bearing has been damaged by wear, whether it's due to abrasive wear, yeah, adhesive wear. We have studied all the type of wear. But you should be able to classify which type of wear it is by looking into the picture of the wear. So that could be possible only by understanding the microscopic structure. Okay, for that debris analysis is a must. And again, if they say the bearing has been damaged due to corrosion, is it due to which type of corrosion? Either it is due to moisture corrosion or it is due to the frictional corrosion. That you have to understand. And again, if the damage in bearing is due to electrical erosion, then you should understand whether it is due to excessive voltage, the electrical erosion is been caused, or due to the leakage of some current. Okay, it is caused. So it is again an dissipation of energy in the form of current. So you should be able to identify what are the main cause for this particular erosion which is coming into picture in the particular bearing what you are using. So you should be able to classify, identify, analyze and provide a solution so that the main cause due to wear is overcome. It could be any mechanical component. Here we are just taking an example of bearing and steering. Okay. And now suppose if the bearing has been damaged due to plastic deformation, why the plastic deformation has been coming into picture, whether it is subjected to a heavy load where the material cannot bear in, so that it moves from the elastic range to that of the plasticity, that you have to check in. Or else is it due to an heavy indentation you're receiving from any type of debris. So debris is nothing but the different category of the wares which come across, and it makes a disadvantage to it. And lastly, if any indentation has been caused on the material by handling, usually this won't happen. In handling an component while revolving or doing any work, this huge amount of plastic deformation cannot occur unless it is dropped from a large amount of height. Okay, so these things you have to be careful. And suppose the given bearing has been fractured. Why it is fractured? Is it due to the forced type of fracture, or it is due to the fatigue type, or it is due to thermal cracking? If the material, if you're using at a very high temperature, and if that material is not capable to withstand that thermal temperature in which the annealing or any type of temperature treatment is carried out, then it results in the thermal cracking. So you should be very keen in why this type of damages are being caused due to what reason, and do a proper analysis on it and identify and provide a solution. Okay, so these are, if any component is given, then these are the reason due to which the rotating component could be damaged. So you should classify in fatigue which are the types, in wear which are the types, in corrosion which are the types, then do the analysis and provide a solution. This is just a small example for you to understand how to categorize and classify and do the analysis. Right? Apart from that, these type of damages can also be caused due to improper component materials. If you're using the materials which are improper, means if it doesn't have a wear resist, if you're using a material which is not wear resistant, then also it may result in causing some damage. And second thing, I'm just telling you the main key points. Suppose if you're doing a design, and if the design what you have made for an screw component is inadequate, then also it results in wear. Okay, so if a screw design is too aggressive and the compression ratio what you're using is too high, then also it results in the formation of excessive shearing, due to which again the wear will creep in. So this is the second thing. Well, even you have to understand at the design level, also you have to understand at the selection of the material level also. So all these vary from one component to that of the another component based on the application in which you really in need of. And thirdly, if you're using any incorrect heat profile or heat band failure, then also it results in the problems. Suppose if you're using the heat band for some thermal applications, and the settings what you have set are too low, and it is lower than that of the transition zones. What do you mean by transition zones? It depends upon the material what you have selected. So if you're going for a heat profile, obviously you're using that component at high temperatures. So when you're using a component at high temperature, every material will be having a transition temperature where it changes from one phase to that of the other, right? Suppose from orthorhombic phase to that of the tetrahedral. So every transition has a particular temperature zone. But if you have fixed the heat band setting below the transition zone, then it results in causing again shear. Okay, so all these things you have to think about. Not only the material selection, the design aspect, and as well as what is the melting point of a particular material, what you're using, what is the transition temperature of a particular material, so that you can use specifically as per the requirement. And one more thing is, suppose if you're using a component with an excessive amount of back pressure, so this also results in improper screw design, and it can result in not yielding a proper result. And also if you're using any resin, it might result in melting some component of the resin what you are using. And always you should see that the back pressure which has been applied is as per the requirement, not truly high. This usually comes into picture when you're using any composite material. You know, when you're devising any composite material, you need a resin into it. So if you're applying more amount of pressure into it, then the resin layer what you're using will not be withstand and it gets melted. So the application why we are using resin to adhere the
Ma'am,
hello,
ma'am, what is back pressure?
hello, louder.
Ma'am, what is back pressure? Ma'am, what is
Yeah,
back pressure?
yeah. The thing is, see, you're using any two mechanical components. So you have the contact area at which there'll be heavy load or the high pressure, either due to rolling or sliding. So it could be any material what you are using. So if the load applied is providing you an pressure from the backside of your contact area, and if you have any layer which is being used as an adhesive layer, suppose you are using resin to get two mechanical components adhered to each other, right? If the back pressure is high, and this can happen even if the pressure at the contact area is also high, the resin what you are using as an adhesive layer could be melted. Then it results in increasing more amount of wear as well as the friction. We have studied the adhesive theory as well as the deformation theory, right? So whenever the two material doesn't have any adherence to each other, sometimes we use an adhesive layer. If you don't use the adhesive layer, then the deformation comes into picture where you'll be having one hard material and one soft material. So this again depends upon which type of component you're using and to which requirement it is. I'm just telling you all the possibilities which can come in due to the yield of wear. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So next, yeah, thank you. So next is failure to use magnets. Sometimes this usually come across when you're using some foreign particles. Okay, so if you're using a magnet, a screen or filters to avoid some type of gogging and fracturing of the components. So this usually again is a protocol which has been used to get a proper adherence. Okay, this usually is not widely used, even though if they use some magnetic materials or any filters to avoid any type of gogging between the two mechanical components, this can result in the fracturing across the surface of the components. So this usually might be caused in processing or synthesizing the nuts, the bolts, or whatever. So like this, these are the protocols which causes as a damage for any type of wear which can creep into. So in all these types, it is very essential for us to do the wear analysis. And to do the wear analysis, you should be studying its microstructural process. So we'll go to the debris analysis. Now this is, I have shown you the example of wear micrograph already. So this is one more image which shows a deep groove which is caused due to the abrasive type of wear. Okay, so this is just an example. And one more here, you can just see an rare sprocket which has been used in our bicycle. So this is a fresh one and this is an used rare sprocket, so which has resulted due to the formation of wear for the continuous rotation. Okay, so here you can see you have the ruptures, you have some abnormalities, asperities across the surface here which has been damaged even inside and at the outer edges. But the fresh rare sprocket will be free from wear and it has a smooth finish over here. So these are just the examples. So later we will come for debris analysis. Okay, so we have delamination wear theory. So I'll do this delamination wear theory later. Let us complete the debris analysis. So before going to wear debris analysis, I want just to I just provided you the information as a prerequisite to know why debris analysis is needed. So now we'll continue the procedure or the protocol what one has to follow to do debris analysis. So now you know what you mean by wear and why debris analysis is needed. So now we will take both the words together. You know that all the resources what we use are made up of materials, right? And the energy is getting progressively a very much needed and growing phenomena to understand various amount of analysis related to wear across the globe. So every component what we are doing as a mechanical component, as a mechanical engineer, it has to have an rotation and finally yield some output in the form of any type of energy, right? It could be mechanical energy or electrical energy or whatever. So when you have a continuous dynamic motion, if there is a tendency of getting an wear, so the analysis to how to overcome this is very much essential. So usually, you know, when you have the sliding components, the wear of the sliding components usually results due to the reduced mechanical efficiency. So when you have a smooth amount of flowing without any wear and tear, obviously you get a good amount of efficiency for that particular mechanical component, which is either sliding or rotating, right? When you see that the efficiency what you're getting is not good enough, then it is due to the reduced efficiency, which is due to the amount of wear or friction which is coming into picture. So this loss is nothing but the loss of material which is happening due to the wear. And this is defined to be as our wear debris. So if it has been asked what do you mean by wear debris, you can just tell in simple word, it is the wear debris is nothing but which lacks the mechanical efficiency due to removal or the loss of some material. So this is nothing but our wear debris. And you know that wear usually come across the interface between the two moving components, right? Two moving particles. So it could be related to any mechanical components which has been operated. So across the interface, due to various factors were creep in that we have studied already. So the amount, the kind and the rate of wear usually depends upon the machine what we are using. Okay, so the machine, which material you are selected, which are the mechanical components, what you are using, how the motion is, how the relative motion is between the two components, and what is the amount of load or pressure which is acting across the surface. So this will define what is the amount or the rate of wear at that particular moment. And we also know that to reduce the wear, we usually use lubricant. So lubricant is usually provided between the moving surface. Why? To minimize the wear during the operations. So this helps or provide a way to reduce the amount of asperities which are disturbing across the contact surface. So lubricant plays a vital role. Even though you have a proper lubricant, but still where comes in, we have studied, right? And hence the debris analysis is very much essential. Suppose if you have a lubricant oil and you have some asperities within the oil. So that also results in formation of some type of wear. The particles might be little bit larger, which are associated, because in oil we use as an additives. Why we use as an additive? So that it makes the lubricant chemically active. But if these additive particles are disturbing and forming in the might be disturbing or resulting in the formation of some wear, then these additives has to be filtered properly, or the microstructure, the particle size of the additives what you are using should be very smooth enough so that there is no disturbance in the lubricant film when the mechanical component is either rolling or sliding. So this all depends upon the oil suspension, how the flow of the oil is, and how about the particle size of the additives. If it is very huge, then you have to think about the filtering part. And even though the additives is fine for the continuous use of the same lubricant film, some particles can come in due to the contact of two mechanical components. So the asperities, small components of the asperities from the hard material can mix up with that of the material which is coming out from the softer material. So this results as a formation of particles in between the lubricant layer. So this causes forming a, what we say, the scar or the damage across the two components, which is either sliding or rolling. So these are the reasons why actually it gets affected. So after this, so in order to, these are the reasons, okay? So why the wear comes in and what do you mean by wear debris? So to overcome this, we need to follow some protocols. So the first one is condition-based monitoring. So what do you mean by condition-based monitoring? So a continuous monitoring of the system is needed. So this is nothing but our condition-based monitoring. So in the past, it was referred as an art when they were understanding, doing right from the beginning, a continuous monitoring system, and to see where the problem is exactly coming, how to overcome. So this type of condition-based monitoring has been carried out from the past. So they refer to as an art of understanding and monitoring the entire system when the two mechanical components are revolving, and to identify where the problem is exactly. So this is nothing but a proper science. So where the large amount of investment is not necessary, but surprisingly, it was seen that the amount of dedication given related to condition monitoring was not totally proper. So this resulted in various failure mechanisms. So to understand a proper condition-based monitoring, some researchers also modeled the failure mechanisms. So now it is not too difficult. Sometimes if you are in any industry which is focusing on this wear analysis or any tribological aspects, they will be having various models for failure mechanism, because it is not the beginning where the wear is coming into. So the study on wear and friction has been done from many past years. So now already a model has been generated for all type of failure mechanism. We have studied the wear mechanism, different type of wear mechanism, abrasive wear mechanism, adhesive wear mechanism, corrosion, and still many more, around 10. So for all type of wear mechanisms, now a modeling failure mechanism is also being derived. So when you're using some mechanical component, and if any damage which has been caused due to a particular wear, then if a proper condition-based monitoring has been done, right, so then you will be able to identify which where is this, and for this where which is coming into picture, which type of failure mechanism model could be adapted. So what you will do is you will compare the failure mechanism theoretically with the modeling, and with respect to the actual experimental thing, how your surface is looking like after the wear, right? So then you will map and you can tell that this particular wear which has been caused is due to this particular failure mechanism, which has already been established by some researcher. So this is how could be classified. So to identify the things which are been happening during the motion of the two mechanical components, a proper conditioning based monitoring is essential. So this is basically purely on science where each and every step has to be monitored and it has to be analyzed and conclusion has to be given that this type of wear is occurring due to this particular failure mechanism. And to validate, you should be having a proof. So you can map this theoretically. So many people have written many number of papers, articles related to the wear analysis also. So where they will check the wear which creeps into between the two mechanical components. So they check when you have the two components which are of same material, whether the wear coming in or not. If it is coming, so that wear is due to which type of failure mechanism. Suppose if you're using one hard material and one soft material, the wear which is coming in is due to which failure mechanism. So you can compare each type of failure mechanism and keep in the database. So when suddenly something comes into, so you'll be having in hand that which is the damage which has been caused, it is due to which reason. So when you can map, you can easily overcome that problem by opting for some other material. So this is nothing but the software, any design software, what you use. So all the parts will be there, the material properties will be there. So you will select as per your requirement. So this will not come you free of cost because the material properties, the components, the parts are already been done and it is stored in the form of a library in your software so that you can pick what is being needed. Similarly, when you want to do an wear analysis, all these database has to be needed. So that could be done and kept in the form of failure mechanisms in the database. So it helps in having a proper condition-based monitoring. So this is one way in order to do the debris analysis. So second one is predictive maintenance. So what do you mean by predictive maintenance? The word is not a new one. You have heard the word already. So what do you mean by it? Basically, predictive maintenance, it is a technique which has been used, okay, to maximize the machine availability time and to minimize the cost of maintenance. So when you say predictive maintenance, the word itself says that it is associated with the maintenance factor, right? So any machine component we are using for any type of relative motion, always you should see that the maintenance cost is not too high and it should not usually come into maintenance aspect. If it should not come into maintenance, obviously the machine or the machine component what you're using should be highly reliable. If it has to be highly reliable, you should see that the selection of the material is done in a proper way so that the component what you do could be reliable for the entire span of that particular product. If that is the case, then maintenance will not come into picture very frequently, right? If this is achieved, then the machine what you're using will be reliable and hence the availability time is the useful time of the machine also will be maximized with reduced amount of maintenance. Since maintenance is reduced, the cost of the maintenance also will get reduced. And hence you can term that to be as an healthy machine where the problem is not coming into picture very frequently. So when it is a healthy machine, the amount of wear and friction will not come at all. Very rarely it creeps in when there is some accidental issues. So this is the second protocol what we need to follow. Once you say predictive maintenance, all the things are indirectly related right from selection of the material. Also the type of the design what you are using for that mechanical component. Okay, the design, the size, the dimension, the material, everything plays a vital role. If all of the thing is selected properly and pakka design is done, then that machine will be reliable for a larger period of time with reduced amount of maintenance and hence the cost of it will be really less and hence we can claim as an healthy machine where the wear will not come into picture very often. So one is to have a proper condition-based monitoring system. The second one is to have predictive maintenance system for any machine component what you are developing. So next is fault detection. Okay, so fault detection is a third component what one has to follow. So when the component has been running, why the fault is occurring. So you should be having some device in hand which will detect where the fault exactly is. Usually the fault detection we use in vibration analysis when you have a different modes of movement. So vibration will, if you have a high amount of vibration, and again it reduces the efficiency of that particular component. So you should overcome the amount of vibration which is coming across in any revolving component. So this fault detection is mainly used for vibration analysis. Okay, so this type of vibration analysis usually we don't use for a very low speed, but we usually go up with the components which yields with noise. So whenever there is too noise, that shows that the component is not able to bear the load, or the clamping between the two components is not so good enough. So it results in the formation of noise or vibrations. So this could be overcome. And sometimes they also say that even when the component is moving in the slow speed, okay, so the bearing what you might be using might result in the formation of some damages due to very low speed. So sometimes it depends upon the surface in which it is in contact into. So this is a rare case which happens due to slow speed, but due to higher load, noise always comes into picture in the form of vibrations. So you should be having a proper damping, and you should be having a detection unit which identifies where the fault is coming into, and that fault has to be overcome. So this is the third option one has to understand to overcome this type of wear across any revolving component. So in these problems, all these type of problems, one is associated with condition-based monitoring. Here you can identify why the failure is, and you can map. This is the failure which has been caused due to this particular failure mechanism. Right. And the second one is you will reduce the wear by having a predictive maintenance. And third one, you will identify what is the fault. So in all this situation, the wear debris analysis has proven as a useful tool in providing the evidence on bearings status. Okay, so in all these type of issues, the wear debris analysis has been done successfully by many people, and they have proven that it is very useful in providing a proper evidence why the result of wear in any mechanical component. Along with this, the wear debris analysis also provide information on the wear mechanism. Wear mechanism we have studied already, but still it provides you due to which wear mechanism this is happening, right? And you will first map with the theoretical model, then you can select the best material to overcome the maintenance. If you have not done with that, any fault which is coming across also could be identified by using the fault detection unit. So in these three sectors, the wear debris analysis plays a very vital role. So these are the things in which the wear debris analysis could be done. So there are still more few key points what you have to understand related to the wear debris analysis. So first thing what you have to understand is, so once you have the mechanical components which is attached with each other, it can slide your roll and it results in the wear. So how? Then later we need to analyze its microstructure. I told you with respect to different type of wear, the surface of the where in any particular mechanical component will be looking in a different type. So when you subject those surface under SEM, scanning electron microscope, so then the morphology of it could be analyzed. So to analyze that morphology, what you have to do is the material has to be detached from the worn surface. Okay, so you will be having a worn surface, across the contact area where the wear creeps in. So you will detach that wound surface, right? And you will characterize it. Okay, characterize is nothing but the morphology, what you will be checking. So you will able to understand what is the microstructure or the micrograph of the wound surface due to particular wear. So we have dealt with different type of wear. It could be any one of the wear. So you will detach that material and you will characterize it. You can use FESEM or you can use SEM, right? So all these provides the microstructure of it. FESEM is focused ion beam type of SEM, which provides you a very in-depth morphology of a surface at very nanometer size. Suppose if you need a normal morphology across 500 nanometers, so if you need below 500 nanometers, then you should go for FESEM. Some materials will yield a good microsurface. Some material, the normal SEM image will not be enough to observe the wear. If it is of very micron, nano in size, then we have to go for FESEM. Okay, so based on the requirement and the level of wear, you can use the available characteristic facilities to get the required morphology. And next, the debris produced during the early part of running intends to have form a finally machined chips typical of abrasive of micro cutting. So what do you mean by it? When you observe the microstructure, so then it helps in the formation of the debris which are produced across the surface. I showed you the images initially. Okay, so different type of debris analysis. So by looking into the debris formed on the surface, you will identify which type of wear it is. For that, you should be having a very keen understanding of the images of the surface, how it looks for which particular wear. Suppose if you see this type of image, you should be able to identify, okay, the debris which are formed on the surface is due to the rubbing wear. And the debris here which are formed on the surface is due to the cutting wear. And here the debris which are formed is due to the fatigue wear. Heavy load for a continuous period of time. And the sculpts here which are formed are the debris across the surface for sculpting wear. So if you have these image micrograph set up in your mind, then by looking into the microstructure, you will be able to identify which type of debris it is. That's what is being told here. So that the debris produced, you should be able to identify. And next thing is, it also depends upon the lubricated layer, the thickness of the lubricant what you are using. Okay, so suppose if you're using a mild lubricant, suppose you might be using a lubricant film of medium thickness or very thin layer, then the amount of wear which has been which is been formed might produce a very thin flake like debris and fatigue wear. So if you are getting a fatigue wear, okay, or a very minute or very thin type of debris across the surface, then these are caused due to using of mild lubricated surface. So if that is the case, okay, so this type of debris will be there. Thin flake of debris across the surface or a fatigue wear usually which comes into. So all these are due to use of mild grade of lubrication. You know that we have different type of lubricant grades and viscosity, how viscous it is, all these factors. We have studied in the lubrication classification and how you select a lubrication. So again, it depends upon the material. Again, it depends upon how you are selecting the lubrication. And we also dealt in wear mechanism, how to prevent the wear by selecting a proper lubrication. So even if you use a proper preventive measure, this could be reduced to some option. It is becoming 9:28. I have to take the attendance. I do remember. Okay, so similarly, there are other points. I will start up in the next class. It is 9:28. Let me just take the attendance. If any doubts, at the same time, you can ask me. And everyone kindly type your name and USN number in the chat room as well. Just answer your serial numbers. I hope everyone know your serial numbers, right? Serial number 1, 2, 3, 4. Fine, or else everyone write your name in the chat and USN number. That is only better. Next day, I will just cross check with the attendance. All the students, 37 are there. Kindly every student type your name and USN in the chat room. Don't miss it. I haven't taken the attendance here. So can anyone let me know what did you understand today? What do you mean by debris and how you associate with the weight? Mohammad Ayan, you are there? Hello. Nihar. Kindly respond. What do you mean by debris? Yeah, Mohammed, what do you mean by debris? If you're not able to speak, type it in the chat room. Pavan. See, you have to answer. Sometimes even the quizzes will be randomly asked. If you don't answer, the marks will be reduced. Nikhilar. Anil Kumar. I hope no one needs the marks then. Anil Kumar. Ankesh Aman. Micro problem. Mic problem. Ankesh Aman. Beldar Mohammed. See, you have to answer, then only you will understand. Okay, so if you don't answer, then what's the question in explaining for you people? You tell me. Fine then. So marks of today's, let me keep it on hold until and unless you answer in the next class. Right, sometimes the random questions will be asked in the form of quiz, and sometimes I'll be putting you the Google form in the form of quiz. So you should be able to answer both offline as well as online in the class, or else the marks will be reduced, which has been assigned of 5 marks each. So be careful, attend in the class regularly, and please answer to the questions which has been asked. So until next class, be safe and take care. Once the answers, your answer scripts are evaluated, I will just share the marks to you all. Until then, take care and bye-bye. Have a good day.